Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words, become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to carry the conversation. I'm not talking about how to have a conversation. I'm talking about carrying it. The person that you're talking to is a bum. They don't know how to generate topics. They don't know how to ask you questions back. At most, they are a zombie. And you have to talk to this person for some strange reason. Maybe they're your cousin. Maybe they're your new coworker. Maybe they're someone that you may want to pursue something romantically with. Whatever. You just know that in this scenario, you're having to carry the conversation. And if you don't carry it, then there's going to be a large awkward silence. What do you do to prepare for moments like this? The first way in order to carry any conversation, and this is the proven method, is to know a lot. You should know so much that at times you surprise yourself. You're like, wait a minute, I know about science, I know about sports, I know about how to record videos, how to take photography, how to dress up. I know so many different topics. And you want to know something? I also know about topics that I despise. I can't stand the Kardashians, Drake, Taylor Swift, pop culture, but I know about it. You know a lot when you know about the topics you enjoy and the topics that you hate. When you satisfy knowing about stuff that you like and hate, that's when you can say you know a lot. And when you know a lot of the times you will carry a conversation by accident. You have no clue that you're talking to a putz. Instead, you're just over here contributing a lot of stories that you find relevant. Every now and then you'll ask them a question. They'll say something that switches the topic. And the new topic, you still know a lot about. Every now and then when they switch topics and you don't know a lot about it, this is the perfect time to ask questions, which is the second part of learning how to carry a conversation. You ask questions on topics that you are ignorant about. They may switch the topic to what they do for work, and they tell you that they are an aviation engineer. You're like, what the hell is that? Tell me more about it. Maybe they don't want to talk about it. Maybe they just got done with a 13-hour shift, so they give you a one-word response. And now you take the spotlight back and you talk about what you do. Simply by knowing a lot and by asking strategic questions, this is how you carry the conversation. Carrying the conversation is a very difficult thing to do because you are playing mental gymnastics in many ways. You don't know what to expect. You can never prepare for a moment like this fully. You could do the precautions of knowing a lot. And by the way, I do want to include traveling helps with this as well. Because a lot of the times when I will speak to someone that's from overseas, I could use some reference points from the small period I lived in Bangladesh to talk to this person. Even if they're not from Bangladesh. Let's say they're from Morocco or something. I could still use certain moments from my experience living in a different spot to relate with this person. So when I say know a lot, it's not just about intellectual knowledge. It could also be where your body has been as well. Factor in your experiences too. And by doing this, you will be able to carry a conversation. One thing that I want to leave this video off with is that during 2020, during lockdowns, a lot of people lost their social skills. And this can be traced back further. Have you ever seen Mark Zuckerberg talk? The CEO of Facebook? Isn't he a little weird? Did you ever ask yourself why he's weird? I was one time reading this book. I believe it was called The Facebook Story. And the author was highlighting how Mark Zuckerberg grew up around the AIM era. Now, if you're in your 30s, you know what I'm talking about when I say AIM, Instant Messenger, Meebo. This is the era that Mark Zuckerberg grew up in. So he was over here typing a lot. And if you type, especially on platforms like AIM or Meebo, you have certain lingo. You're not drawn out. You're very much to the point. And that was his social experience. That is what molded his personality. So nowadays, when we see Mark Zuckerberg and we see, wait a minute, man, he's a very weird guy, it's because a lot of his personality was molded by AIM. Now, likewise, for our generation, during the coronavirus lockdown periods, a lot of folks, their main social skills were morphed by TikTok, by writing, WhatsApp, texting, okay? So when you take their text savviness and you put them out into the real world, now it's like a deer stuck in the headlights. They're like, well, what do I do? What do I do with my fingers? You don't do anything with your fingers. You look the other person in the eyes and you talk to them, and this person is freezing. They don't know what to do. It's sort of like if you're telling Mark Zuckerberg, be charming, my friend. He's like, what? Charm? I don't know what that means. It's because they grew up a certain way. So don't personalize it. A lot of the times when you are carrying a conversation, you may somewhat resent the other person for not putting in that effort. But what I recommend is, instead of resenting the person, feel a little bit sorry for them. Be like, man, I really feel a little bad for you because you don't have the social skills. You learned social skills in a certain type of way that's making you freeze up in a face-to-face conversation. I feel a little bad for you. And when you feel bad for the person, don't feel too bad for them where you're over here giving them a tissue box, but you feel a little bad for them. Now it's easier to want to take up the spotlight and carry the conversation and steer it as you may. Carrying the conversation is a creative act. So if you can do it with a certain person where you breathe life into a zombie, then you can repeat the skill set for other zombies in the future. And I'm not talking Walking Dead. If you enjoyed today's talk, go and drop that like for me right on below. And thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel.